I'm a Christian constitutional citizen activist Republican running for office. I'd like to talk to you a little bit about immigration, which, by the way, has several moving parts to it. I know everybody likes to put it all and lump it together, but it's not. It's all separate subjects. You've got immigration, you've got birthright citizenship, you've got natural born citizenship, you've got people that become citizens. They're all different parts. But we have a serious problem with our immigration system in this country, and we have a bunch of people in Washington, D.C. that don't seem to want to fix it. They all have their little lobbying groups, or they all have voters that they want to make sure vote for them, so they're against any kind of reform. Then you have the system we have right now with the DACA kids being promised they'll get amnesty and pathway to citizenship, which I know most people that originally supported President Trump were not in favor of, and many still aren't. So what is it we're really looking to get? I know the entire system needs to be scrapped. There's no doubt about that. And we do need to implement a merit system which would be based on education, health, amount of money in the bank. Being able to read and speak English would always be nice, so when they get over here, if they get in the car, they don't go through stop signs, or they can actually read their way off of an interstate highway system. We need to set up a system that does the same thing for anybody that wants to come here, whether it's a worker visa, a visitor visa, student visa, or they want to be a permanent resident, no matter how they want to come here. We have got to be able to vet all of them. All of them. You may have different degrees of vetting depending on what part of the world they're from, but I don't believe that we can safely allow anybody in our country anymore that we don't vet to one degree or another. And if they cannot follow our system through the different stages we have, as soon as they hit a part that they fail, the system shuts down, they're rejected, and they're done. And no more chain migration or lotteries. You can come, if you're married, your husband or your wife can come, your minor children can come, but they're all going to be vetted right along with you. And if one of them doesn't come through the system properly, they will not be allowed in, which I'm assuming would then mean you won't come either, because I don't know too many people that would leave either their spouse or their minor children behind. Americans don't have a problem with legal immigration. They have a problem with illegal immigration. They also have a problem with people with worker visas overstaying until no one knows where they are anymore. And people that have just visitor visas, we lost, I think, 250,000 a couple of years ago. They still don't know where they are. Well, if they don't know where they are, did they ever really know who they are? We are being poorly served by the Heinz 57 system that our immigration department runs. Within our own Constitution, it talks about having a uniform system of naturalization. I don't know, but uniform to me is kind of like, in the Army, they wear one uniform. The Navy wears another kind of uniform. But they all wear a uniform, and you can tell who's in the Navy, Army, Air Force, or Marines, or the Coast Guard. It's simple to see. That's how immigration is supposed to work and how it better start working. We don't have a lot of time to fix this system, but it's got to be fixed. We can no longer allow anybody just helter-skelter to come into our country. Whether some want to come illegally, some don't see a problem with that. They think everybody has a right to come here. Wake up, America. Everybody doesn't have a right to come here. My great-great-grandparents came here on a boat legally, because I've never met anybody yet that has the ability to swim the Atlantic. And I don't believe I ever will. So why don't we set the system up to protect the American public, the American citizen, and America's future, versus to protect the rights of people that have no right to be here to begin with? Our naturalization process is the same thing. We have got to fix that so that someone that wants to become a naturalized citizen can, and not wait 20 years for it. But that also has to have a uniform system set to it with no exceptions for anyone. Not even the president can write exceptions for people. The so-called executive orders they all write, like say the DACA order, that thing should have been ended the first day President Trump took office. It was an illegal order to begin with, and extending it didn't make it any more legal than it was in the very beginning. Birthright citizenship is for children that are born of a citizen of this country, not two people that happen to be here. You've got to be a citizen to have a citizen parent. That's the only way it works. One parent minimum has got to be a citizen for that child to be a citizen. Otherwise, they're not. So all these anchor babies are not truly citizens, even though by definition we have a bunch of liberals that want to call them that. And then you have what you call a natural-born citizen, which is, by the way, the only one that can run for president, which is why President Trump could run, because both his father and his mother have been naturalized, made both of them citizens, which made him eligible to be the president, unlike, I might add, Mr. Jindal, Ted Cruz, and Mr. Rubio, who didn't fit that mold at all. no matter how they want to spin it. It didn't happen. Our founders wrote these documents the way they did for very specific reasons. They didn't want foreigners coming into our country, staying a short time, and becoming president because they considered foreigners, quite frankly, enemies of ours. Think about it. Spain, France, England, they were all countries that ran colonies. They took over empires. They invaded nations. That's what they did. And we were afraid they could do it here. So we set up a system that you had a natural-born citizen, a birthright citizen, and then everybody else. And we need to go back to that and set specific rules to make sure we know who is a citizen, who is not a citizen, who can be a citizen, what makes a citizen, and clearly define it. So we don't have a bunch of people either at the Supreme Court or in the legislative level or somewhere else in our government trying to tell us who is and isn't. If we do it the way it's supposed to be done and originally laid out in our U.S. Constitution and follow the basic intent of the founders that gave us this country that we have, we will all be much safer, happier, and more successful for it. And these are the things we need to do. But understand, they're all separate parts of the same thing, and each needs to be addressed separately. But we do need a uniform system for immigration and a uniform system for naturalization, and we have already got a uniform system for birthright citizenship or natural-born citizen. We just need to apply it and make sure everybody understands what it is. I want to thank you for taking the time to listen to this. Understand, citizenship in America is a very important thing. Yeah, everybody wants to come here, and everybody talks about the dream of America. You know what the original dream of America was? The Pilgrims didn't come here for riches. They didn't come here to have 2 cars in a garage. They didn't come here for any of that. They came here for religious freedom, which our government is slowly taking away from us, one law at a time. We need to restore our own freedoms and tell the federal government to start working for us instead of against us. Somebody told me the other day that DACA meant Democrats against children Americans. It kind of fits to some degree, but it's one thing is for sure. We've got to fix the system before we start giving away all the gifts that some of our elected officials now want to use as prizes to say, I negotiated a great contract. I got the wall, but I gave millions of people citizenship in our country for doing it. That wasn't what we voted for. That isn't what I voted for, and I'll never support that kind of legislation. God bless you, God bless America, and God bless the sovereign state.